Here we go with 13, 14, and 15. We're starting with 13. It's just going to be an implicit differentiation. So here's the thing to realize, that x is your, let me write this down. You want dy dx. So from that statement, y is a function of x, and x is your variable. So you have to treat any value of y here and here as a function and not a variable. So the derivative of x with respect to x is just 1. But what's the derivative of y? Just by definition is dy dx. Now on the right side we have the product rule. So we copy the first, take the derivative of the second, plus the derivative of the first times the second. At this point, I want to get anything with dy dx on the same side. So I'm going to subtract x dy dx from both sides. And I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides to get that. I then factor out the dy dx. I'm left with 1 minus x. Divide both sides by 1 minus x. And see if that matches up. Y minus 1 over 1 minus x. Now you'll notice none of those match up, but this is the same as b. Let me show you why. If we multiply by 1 in the form of negative 1 over negative 1, I distribute that. I get 1 minus y, x minus 1, and that's going to be b. That be the answer, B. All right, let's go to 14. Okay, they want us to look at which integral equals that. So if you look at A, in order to integrate that, you would have to do u sub. So u, I'll just mention this, A, u would have to be g of x. Du would be g prime of x dx. I would have to have that in my integral, and that doesn't appear, so that's not going to work. If you look at b, all right, that works. I actually have g prime of x dx. Let's see where this takes us. So let's look at b now. 2 to 4, f of g of x, and g prime of x dx. We're going to substitute the values that we just found. So let me do this with nice colors. This would go in for g of x, and this would go in for the g prime part. But be very careful, because the values 2 and 4, those are values of x when I had an x here. But now they have a u. Whoa, that was not supposed to happen. This thing has a mind of its own. Now that I have a u here, I need the top and bottom to be u's. So if I plug in a 2 on the bottom for x, u will be g of 2. And similarly on top, we would have g of 4. And I am missing a prime here. Oh, wow. So actually I messed up on b, because we don't know the antiderivative f. But if we look at c, c is nice, because c we have an f prime. That's the only difference. So this would be f prime. The antiderivative f prime would be f of u from g of 2 to g of 4. Plug in the top and plug in the bottom. And that is what they wanted. So clearly the answer is C. All right. Hopefully these are going faster. Trying to get through them quickly and yet fully explain these. So we're on number 15. This one's kind of weird. it takes a little bit extra thinking. They give us the velocity, and they want the position function. So we know the position function, since it's moving up and down, I'll call y of t, is the integral of the velocity. And quite simply, this becomes 8t minus 2t squared over 2 plus c. But here's a part. We need a known time and position for our particle. But we know the particle goes up, reaches the origin, and then moves downwards. In other words, the maximum occurs at the origin. So another way to look at it, the derivative of the position has to be 0 to get a maximum. It has to be a critical point. Or the other way, clearly, in order for it to go up to the origin and stop and then move down, it has to stop. So v of t must equal 0 because it moves up, stops at the origin, then, moves up, stops, then moves down. At this point, the velocity has to be 0. If you solve for t, t is 4. So when t is 4, it reaches the origin, meaning the position, the y position is 0 at that point. So when t is 4, y is 0 because the origin is 0. So go ahead and plug that in. 0 equals 8 times 4 minus 2 times 4 squared over 2 plus c. And then we get 32. 32 over 2 is 16. And then c comes out to be negative 16. So plug that in right there. And this matches answer A. All right, 15 down. I'm going to do, I guess, 6 more today. I'll go up to 21 and stop there, and then we'll do the rest tomorrow.